I'm now recording. All right. So yeah, so we're talking about the pth percentile. Looks like you talked about this last time. So I'll review it again really quickly, even though I know you guys have not been able to think about anything else since you talked about it last time. Percentile's been on your mind constantly. I'm sorry, I'm joking around. I'll get serious here. So percentile, what is it? The pth percentile of a data set is a value such that p% of the numbers fall at or below this value and the rest fall at or above it. So for example, the middle number is the 50th percentile. So I kind of think about it like if you're watching a football game or a basketball game, if you're 50% of the way through the game, that's what percentile is. It's what part is already over. So, and then here's the formula for how you actually find it. And I'll be walking through this with you. It's you've got to put the data in order from smallest to largest, and then you've got to use the locator, which is the p number, which is whatever percentile, over 100 times n. So p is your percentile, n is your number of numbers. Okay, so and then if it's a whole number, you take the average of the number in the L and L plus first position. If it's not a whole number, you round it up. I know that probably sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I'll slow it down and show you exactly what we mean as we do the examples. In fact, let's look at this first one. So find the median. Yep. Remember, median means middle. Median means middle. Maybe I'll add that note right here.
So after you show this example, can you show an example of a data set and how this actually would work?
For sure.
I don't think we have one on our.
Yeah, I totally agree, Daniel. Good idea. I will definitely do that. Yeah, that's what Miss Jones's notes will show. Oh yeah, what is there's a data set right. Where is the data set? Oh, it's right here. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, this is the data set we're referring to, right? Y'all have that on your notes there?
Well, we have the outline. We would just have to fill in the numbers.
Okay, so the questions we're about to answer come from this example, which Miss Jones did last time, right? And so I'm going to use this. So I'm assuming you guys all have this in your notes. Is that true? If not, go ahead and copy it down real quick. This is the data we're going to use.
Okay. What page is that on that printout?
It's just before. Yeah, there's the pth percentile. It's just the page right before.
Okay.
Good. We're finding that. Okay, so I'll let you copy that down. And so what that is, that's how many units. I don't know, did she ask you guys? Is that what it was? Or maybe she just took some other class or something. But this is how many, I think it's you guys, right? It's 8 people total. Looks like it might be you guys. And she asked you how many units you're taking this semester. And, or maybe she just made up the data, I'm not sure. But looks like one person is taking 3 units. And one person is taking 6 units, and 2 people are taking 9 units, and 2 people are taking 12 units, and 1 is taking 13 units, and 1 person has a big load, 18 units. And that's 8 people total, and that's your N. N is the number of people in your data set. Is that all good? Is that everybody ready to go forward with that example? All right. Stop me if you have questions. I'll move forward with that example. Coming on down now. What did we do right here? I'll maybe just review what you guys did. You found the median, which is the middle. So what's the middle for this data set, for this group of numbers? What's the middle? Like, what's the middle number of units? It's probably somewhere around this area, isn't it? That's kind of the middle. It's probably somewhere between 9 and 12, about. You know, does that make sense? How do we find it in particular? Well, to find the middle, the median, that's the 50th percentile, kind of like halftime in a football game or basketball game. You're 50% of the way through the game. halfway through. Let me see. Is that's about as big as I think I can make it. Is that pretty?
No bit too big. Well, no.
I'm sorry, what was that, Jason? Is that good?
Right, that no bit too big.
Oh, that's too big?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm going the wrong way, huh? Is this better?
Like go for no more.
How about right? I think that's about good right there for everybody, right?
Yep.
Good. All right.
That's good.
Good deal. All right, yeah. So how do we do, whoops, sorry, I'm moving up and down. How do we do this example? How do we find the 50th percentile? Well, we're going to use this formula, right? And which is L equals P over 100 times N. And what's the P? The P is the 50. You see right there, the P, because that's the percentile, the 50th percentile, which is the middle. That whenever they say median, that's the 50th percentile, because that's the middle, like a football game is 50% over. So put the P over 100, so 50 over 100, times the N, and the N is 8. Remember that? There were 8 numbers up here in this data list, right there. 8 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different, the frequency means how many of each of those numbers. So we come on down and we go, okay. We take our calculator, we take 50 over 100 times 8. And if you do that in your calculator, you get the number 4. And what does that mean you do with it? Well, that's when we go right here to this step 3 now. Step 3 says if it's a whole number or not a whole number. Tell me, guys, is 4 a whole number or not a whole number?
Oh,
It's a whole number.
Yeah, it's a whole number. Notice it's not a decimal, is it? It's just a whole number. Right. So we follow these instructions here. When you have a whole number, you take the average of the data numbers in that position and the next. Let me write it out that way. That might help you. Here, I can write it better. So this would be that spot plus the next spot. Sorry. See, I told you my writing wasn't nearly as good as Miss Jones. Now you're seeing it firsthand. That spot plus the next spot. You add them up. See my plus sign here? You add them up, hit equals, and then divide by 2 to get the average. So that's what you do for the whole number. That's just another way of saying what Miss Jones said. So, and that's what she did right here. She was about to. Looks like she didn't quite finish. So L came out to be 4. So we have to find the 4th and the 5th numbers in the data list. So find the numbers in that spot plus the next spot. Hit equals and divide by 2. So that's what we're going to go do. Is that making sense? I'm going to go find the 4th and 5th numbers in the data set. Let's go back to the data set now. I'll come back to the screen, but let's go back to the data set. Do you see the numbers? How many units did people take? This is a 3, a 6. There's 2 9s. See how this says there's 2 9s? 2 people are taking 9 units. There's 2 12s. See the 2 there? 1 13 and 1 18. That's the data set right there. That's the number of units different people are taking. Is this making sense? One person's taking 3 units, another's taking 6, 2 people are taking 9, 2 are taking 12, one's taking 13, one's taking 18. So in that data list, what's the 4th number?
2, the last 2.
So what I mean is, like, this is the first number, This is the second number. This is the third
12.
number. Fourth,
12.
fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth number. So we're supposed to grab the fourth and the fifth numbers. What are those?
So that'd be 2 and 1.
Oh, there's
Oh, no, 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 not those. It's just these right here.
The 9 and the 12?
Yeah, that's the fourth and the fifth numbers in that data set. The 2s and the 1s, that's just the frequency. That tells you how many numbers. The 1 means there's only 1 3. The 2 means there's 2 9s. So the frequency tells you how many, but the number itself are up here. So we're supposed to grab the fourth and the fifth numbers, which are 9 and 12, aren't they? So let's take those back down. And I'm going to say 9 plus 12, hit equals, and then divide by 2. You guys got that in your calculator? You want to tell me what you get? Want to crank that out real quick?
$10.5.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what I'm getting too. Are you all able to get 10.5? So that's the answer right there. How we doing? Is that making sense?
So 10.5 is our median number for that data.
Exactly. Exactly. Now we're going to do this 2 or 3 more times. You'll get the hang of it, but is this good so far? How are we doing? Is there any, feel free to speak up or throw something in the chat box. Either way, let me know. There's something I can clarify before I go on to another example.
So saying if that 4 was not a whole number, would you say if it was like 4.5, you would round that up to 5, and would you add 1 to it or just leave it as is?
Yeah, you would round up and just take that number. We'll see that when we get to when we get to number 6. Well, we will see that. So I'll show you an example of that. But yeah, I can mention it even now. If that 4 had been like 4.1, you would round up to 5, and then you would just grab the 5th number, which is just the 12. Done. We wouldn't add any numbers or divide by 2 or any of that. You just see what it says here. You just round up and you take that number. We'll do that on number 6. Any other questions here on number 3? All right, let's try number 4. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. So it'll be good to practice another one. So let's try it. So on number 4, we're supposed to find the first quartile. Now the first quartile, imagine a football game or a basketball game, right? Like here, let me just draw out like a basketball game, football game. Do you know basketball and football, they're broken into 4 quarters, right? And we call Q1 the end of the first quarter, Q2 the end of the second quarter, Q3 the end of the third quarter. So when we say the first quartile, we mean right there, right here, the end of the first quarter. So if you're at the end of the first quarter in a basketball game or a football game, what percentage of the game is over?
25.
Yeah, 25%, huh? So this is the 25 percentile or 25th percentile. We good so far? So if somebody asks you, to find the first quartile. That's what we're being asked here. They're saying find the end of the first quarter. So the end of the first quarter is 25. So how do I, so that means find the 25th percentile, right? Because that's 25% of the way through the data. So how do I find it? Well, right up here, it says if you want to do percentile, you've got to use this formula. So I'm going to use that formula. L equals P over 100 times N. Are we good there? Is this making sense? In case anybody just signed in new, I'm the substitute teacher for today. My name is Mr. Heron. I'm substituting for Miss Jones. I just want you to know that you're in the right place. This is Miss Jones, Math 45 class. I'm just the sub for today and Wednesday. Okay, so are we good so far, guys? I'm using the formula right here. And now I'm going to plug in the P. What's the P? What am I going to plug in here for P?
So the P would be the percentile, which we're using 25.
Beautiful. Exactly, Daniel. We all good there? That's exactly right. I'm going to plug in that 25. And do you remember what the N is? It hasn't changed. What's the N? Remember?
The number of yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is that how do you say your name? Is that Nice or Nice? Well, can you tell one more time? I'm sorry.
You're muffled.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Very muffled.
Yeah, I won't make you keep talking. Hopefully I won't butcher your name. All right. Are we good so far? So we're going to plug in the 25 now. And so we got L equals, so plug in the 25 over 100 times N. And what's the N? It was 8. The N was 8 because 8, it's the number of data values. And that's the same thing. We're still talking about this list of data right here, right? This data values of how many units people are taking, right? One person's taking 3 units, one's taking 6, 2 are taking 9, 2 are taking 12, one's taking 13, one's taking 18. So we're talking about that data set. So for that data set, that's 8 numbers total, right? Right here, 8 numbers total. So I'm trying to find the 25th percentile, the end of the first quarter. I'm saying for that whole data set in which we're listing out how many units you guys are taking, we're trying to find out what's the end of the first quarter, like right here, the lowest quarter of units. So the people that are taking the fewest units, the bottom quarter, what's the mark, the Q1 mark, which is called the first quartile, that is the mark of the end of the first quarter of numbers. How do you find it? Well, that's the 25th percentile because the first quarter is 25% of the way through the data. So you plug into this formula, plug in a 25 for P, plug in an 8 for N, then use your calculator, and you should get, what, 2? Is that coming out okay? You guys getting 2 there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now careful. It's tempting to think you're done. My students in the past, a lot of times go, okay, 2, I'm done. No, careful. That's just the locator. Does that make sense? That's like if I said, hey, you can find that pen in the downstairs closet. Downstairs closet is just the location. You still have to go there and get the pen. Does that make sense? This is just a locator. It's telling you where to go find the number. It's not the answer itself. It means second spot. How about that? How about if I add that to it? That probably will help. It's telling you go to the second spot in your data list. So the answer is not 2. It's a locator. See what it says up here? Here, I'll make this a little bigger. See, it says locator. So you're supposed to go to that position, right? It says find the number in that spot and take the next spot, hit equals and divide by 2. So I got to go find the number in the second spot. Got to take that spot and the next spot, don't I? So let me write that up here. I'm gonna, or I'll write it over. I don't know why I'm running out of room here. Second spot and the third spot. Oops.
So do you add 1 to this number also?
Right. Well, that's the one I added right there when I did third spot. Yeah. So I know it says L and L plus 1. I think it'll be easier for you guys just to think that spot and the next spot. That is the plus 1. It's the next spot. So that's what I took the 2 and I added 1 to get 3. So second spot and 2 plus 1, third spot. That's the L and the L plus 1. Good question, Daniel. That's what she means by the L and the L plus 1. I like to just say, find that spot and the next spot. I've just found that's easier for students over the years, but it's true either way. L and L plus 1, that spot and the next spot, second spot and the third spot. So now we go back to the data set and we find the value in the second spot and the third spot. Let's go to it. All right, so here's the data set we're referring to. So what's the number in the what are the numbers in the second spot and the third spot?
6 and 9.
Beautiful. That's right. 6 and 9. Everybody see that? Those are the numbers in the second and third spots. We all good there before I flash off of this screen? Go back, roll back down. Everybody got the data set doing well? Okay, I'm going to roll down. So 6 and 9 are those numbers. Let's do it. So we've got the number in the second spot is 6. The number in the third spot is 9. Remember, we're supposed to add them, hit equals, and then divide by 2 because we're averaging. We're taking the average of those two numbers. You know how to average two numbers. You add them and divide by 2, right? And so when you do all that, you should get the answer. Isn't it 7.5?
Yeah.
Is that coming out for everybody? Okay. So everybody see what, so we're done with number 4. So everybody see what we did there. Questions I can answer.
One quick question. If these, this formula, if there's negative numbers mixed in there, that's not going to affect the formula, how you do it?
Good question, Daniel. Yeah, no, it'll work fine, even with negative numbers. Yeah, it'll work. Yeah, good. Does everybody see what we did then? They asked us to find the first quartile, which is the end of the first quarter, like in a basketball game or football game, which means you're 25% of the way through the game. So that's the 25th percentile. And so we used the formula here for percentile that Miss Jones gave us, this formula, and we plugged in P is 25,
Why are you
8, and then we worked it out. We got the 2. That was just telling us second spot, right? Second spot. And then the instructions say find that, the numbers in that spot and the next spot, add them and divide by 2. So I went to the second spot and the third spot, found the 6 and 9, add them, hit equals, divide by 2, 7.5. There we go. Questions on that? All good? Shall we try? Let's try number 5. It's going to be very similar. This time, they're asking us for the third quartile. What do you think? If you're watching a football game or basketball game, and it's the third, it's right, you're right. Let me put it right here. You're right here. end of the third quartile, third quarter in a football game or basketball game, what percentage of the game is over?
75.
Yeah, 75% of the game is over, huh? So this is the 75th percentile. See how I'm coming up with those percentiles? So first quartile is 25% over. Third quartile, they call it, the game is 75% over. So now we're going to use the formula. You guys want to try to use the formula? L equals P over 100 times N. Right? Same formula. See if you can do it. Let me give you a second and then I'll finish it up. How about? Plug in your P, plug in your N. You'll need to go back to the data set, remember, and find that spot and the next spot. See if you can find those. All right, I'm going to move forward. So what do I plug in for P?
$75.
Yeah, going to plug in the 75. Beautiful. Plug in the 75 right there. And what's the N?
The N is the 8.
Yeah, it's still 8, isn't it? The N is 8 because it's the total number of values in our data set, which is still 8. We're still dealing with the same data set. So when you do that in your calculator, don't you get 6? Yeah, that's right. I think I saw 6 in the chat box. Good job, but that's not our final answer yet. That's pretty good so far. But remember, that's only an L locator. That's like me telling you, go to the school and open the 6th locker. So that means 6th spot. Remember, that's the tricky part that fools my students in the past. They think that's the final answer. I know it's tempting. It feels like we should be done. We've already done a bunch of work. Aren't we done? Not quite. That's telling us the spot to go look. That's saying go find the number in the 6th spot. And what else do we take? 7th spot. Remember, we always take that spot and the next one. So go back to the data set now. Find the numbers in the 6th and 7th spots. Add them, hit equal, add them
12 and
together,
13.
hit equals, and divide by 2. Let's see what we get. So I'm going to go back to the data set here. Grab the numbers in the 6th and
12.
7th spots.
12 and
They
13.
are, right? The 12 and the 13? We good? This is the data set. These are the 8 numbers. The 6th and 7th numbers are 12 and 13. That's what the formula told us. Go to the 6th and 7th numbers. Is that good? So I'm grabbing the 6th and 7th numbers, which are 12 and 13. Let's bring those back. So we're going to go, okay. 12 plus 13, because the 6th number is 12. 7th is 13. Hit equals, and then divide by 2. And you should get 12.5. Good job. I saw Minerva had it in the chat box. That's excellent. 12.5. Is that making sense? Everybody seeing how we got that? Is that good? Now what does that answer mean? That means if you're taking 12.5 units, I don't know how you can take half a unit, but whatever. If you're taking 12.5 units, you're taking more than 75% of the rest of the class. That's what we're doing with these. So we're right here. You're at the third quarter. You're 3/4 of the way through the data set. That's what that means. If you're taking 12.5 units, you're taking more than 3/4 of the class, more than 75% of the class. You are at the 75th percentile. That's what that number means. You guys ready to go on to number 6? Because it's going to be a little different on that one. Are we good on 3, 4, and 5? All right, stop me if you have questions. Otherwise, I'm going to move on, assuming you're good, to number 6. 80% of the class is taking less than or equal to how many units this semester? Well, that's asking us to find. They're basically saying find the 80th percentile. In other words, it'd be about right here on the graph I made. You're just past the third quarter. It's like if you're watching a football game or basketball game and you're 80% of the way through the game. Does that make sense? We're about 80% of the way through the game. So find the 80th percentile. So how are we going to do it? We're going to use the formula. L equals P over 100 times N. Let's plug in the 80. What's the N?
Eight.
Yep, still 8. Excellent. 8. All right, hit the buttons on your calculator. Don't you get 6.4?
Yes.
Now, is 6.4 our answer, or is it telling us
No.
about a spot?
We need to round up.
Right, good job. Yeah, remember, this is the 6.4th spot, which sounds weird, and I will explain in a minute. But remember, this is a locator. It's not our answer yet. It's just telling us where to go find our answer. But how do you find the 6.4th spot? You can't do that. So what do? We round it up, don't we? So round up. And when we say round up, we mean you go up. Like, in other words, you don't round off. I'll say even 6.1 would round to 7. Does that make sense what we're saying when we say round up? We're not saying round off. We're not saying round to the closest spot. We're saying always go up. Even 6.1, for example. We didn't have 6.1, but I'm just saying, for example, even if we had 6.1, that's another common mistake my students have made in the past. They'll round it. They'll go, well, Mr. Heron, that rounds closer to 6. Yes, it does round closer to 6, but we're not rounding to the closest. We're rounding up. You have to go up. Even if you had 6.1, you go up. So that means go find the data in the 7th spot. Is this making sense so far? Notice we're not doing 2 numbers. Let me go back to the chart and help you guys. See back here the instructions that Ms. Jones gave us? If it's not a whole number, meaning if it's a decimal, that's what we have. If it's not a whole number, it's a decimal. What do? Round up and take the data number in that spot, in that position. So do you see we have 2 sets of instructions we follow depending upon whether we get a whole number or we get a decimal. In the 3 problems we just did on number 3, 4, and 5, all of those came out to be whole numbers. But 6 came out to be a decimal. Do you see the difference? So when you get a whole number, you have to find that number, that spot, and the next spot, add them, and then divide by 2. But if you get a decimal, you don't have to get 2 numbers. It's easier. You just round it up and go grab that one number.
we're just gonna round up to 7, and whatever number is in the 7th spot, that's our number.
Exactly, Daniel. Better than I can say it. Everybody hear that? That's exactly right. You don't have to grab two numbers. It's easier when you've got a decimal. You just round it up and grab the number in that spot. That's all you do. You don't have to do two numbers and add them and equals and divide by 2. None of that. That's only for a whole number like we did on number 3, 4, and 5. So let's go back and grab the number. What spot are we looking for? Oh, 7, right? Let's go back and find the number in the 7th spot and see what we get. And what is it? Now back to our data list. What number's in the 7th spot? There it is, right? It's a 13. We good there? All right, good. Looks like y'all are grabbing it. Glad to see it. So it's a 13. Bring it on down. And that's the answer to our question. 13. There it is. 80. So what does that mean? 80% of the class is taking less than or equal to 13 units. That's the 80 percentile. 80% of the class is taking 13 units or less. All right, so we're done with percentiles. Questions I can answer on that before we move on. Maybe it'd be best if I reviewed briefly. So when they ask us for a percentile, we use the formula L equals P over 100 times N. But then what we do from there depends on whether we get a whole number or a decimal. If you get a whole number, in fact, let me write that over here for you to be more clear. Whole number. If you get a whole number, then you find the number in that spot and the next spot, add them, hit equals, and divide by 2. Notice you're taking the average. Whereas if you get a decimal, you just round it up and grab the one number in that spot. You don't grab two numbers. How we doing? Questions I can answer.
So you said if you get a whole number, you get that number and then the number in the next spot, add them together and divide by 2, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Whereas if you get a decimal, you don't get two numbers. You just round it up and just grab the one number in that spot. We're always going back to the data list to grab numbers out of that list, right? Whole number, we're grabbing two numbers from the data, adding them and dividing by 2. Decimal, we're rounding up and just grabbing one number from the data list. It's all about going back to that data list, and this formula tells us where to go. It's a locator, like find the 5th locker or the 6th locker. We still have to go there, open the locker, and grab what's inside, right? Is that good? Good clarification still, and anything else I can answer there?
No, thank you.
All right. All right. I'll move on to number 7. Feel free to slow me down if you want to talk more about it. Number 7 is asking us to do a 5-number summary. Well, we basically just did that almost. Here is what consists in a 5-number summary. It's these 5 things: the minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, maximum. So what am I talking about? Again, this is for the units, the number of units people are taking data set. We're still talking about that same data set that Miss Jones made for you guys, the number of units you're taking this semester. So for that same data set, number of units, let's first find what is the minimum value. What's the minimum? Let's go back to that data set on the previous page here. There we go.
That'd be 3.
Yeah, beautiful. Is everybody making sense out of that? It just means the lowest number in the list, huh? So that's the minimum. That's the minimum right there. What's the maximum value in the list?
18.
Yeah, the biggest, like who's taken the most units, that's the 18. Whoops, kind of scribbling here. Here we go. So the maximum is the 18. The minimum is the 3. Lowest and highest numbers, right? The fewest units anybody's taken is 3. That'd be this class. And the max is 18, which is a lot of units. All right, so let's go back down. And we'll say, okay, so the minimum, or I can just put them straight down. The minimum was 3. The maximum is 18, comma. What's the first quartile? Well, that's Q1. We already found that a minute ago, didn't we? Right back here. Where is it? Oh, right here. First quartile. What did that answer come out to be?
7.5.
Yeah, there it is. Q1, first quartile, 7.5. So let's go put that in there. First quartile. 7.5. Median. Remember the median? We found that. You found that with Miss Jones last time. Or actually, no, we finished it today, didn't we? Yeah. So right here, right? The median, 10.5. Median. That's the middle. That's like halftime in a football, basketball game. 10.5. And third quartile, we just did that one. Right here. Third quartile. There it is. So 12.5, right? Q3 is 12.5. All right. And so there we go. There we go. That's all they want on that question. So they just want us to list out the 5 numbers that summarize the data. That it's a nice little summary because it shows the lowest and the highest, and it shows the breaks at the quarter points in between. It's a nice summary of the units for the whole class. So this shows how many units different people are taking in the class. And then finally, is that good so far? 5-number summary. Any questions on that part? Feel free to speak up or throw something in the chat box, either way. All right. So coming on down to the box plot. It's a picture of the 5-number summary. So what we're going to do, we're going to take these 5 numbers and we're going to make them into a box plot. Now let me help you. Like, what exactly is a box plot? Well, you're looking at one right here. What a box plot does is breaks the data into 4 quarters, again, like a football game or basketball game. So in other words, there's 25% of the game is in this section. 25% of the game, and let me just put it above. 25% is in this section. 25% in this section. And 25% in that section. So that's what a box plot does. It's a picture with 5 numbers. What are the 5 numbers? The min, like we just found, the Q1, like we just found, the median, like we just found, the Q3, like we just found, and the maximum, like we just found. Those 5 numbers break the data into 4 even sections. I don't mean they're the same width. You can tell some of them look a little wider than the others, but I mean there's the same number of data values, meaning the same number of students who have that many units in each section. It breaks the data into 4 equal sections, meaning same number of units per section. So that's what's being shown right here. Let's do it, guys. If the line is right here, see it's right on that spot. What percent of the data is right here?
7.5. Okay.
What's that? What percent of the data is there?
The 7.5. Wait, is
Oh
this
yeah,
for?
you're giving the actual number.
Oh,
But we won't get to that yet. Let's just do the. You're ahead of the game. We'll get to those numbers. You're right on. But let's just give the percentages for right now. So what would
Oh,
be the
that-
percentage?
That's 25, right?
Yeah, just the 25. You're right about the 7.5. We'll get there in a minute. But for now, let's just make sure we're good with the percentage. 25 would be here and 75 would be there. Does that make sense? If you're at this spot right there, then that means you're 25% of the way through the game. Like if I'm watching a football game or basketball game and my wife comes in the room and says, hey, how far along is the game? If I'm right here at the end of the first quarter, I'd say the game's 25% over. And she said, how much is left? I'd say 75% of the game is left. Is that making sense? Let's try the next one. What if my wife comes in and it's right there? What percentage of the game is already over and what percentage of the game is still coming?
60-40.
Well, they're trying to put it right in the middle. It kind of looks like 60-40, doesn't it? They're off a little bit. They're trying to put it right in the middle.
So that'd be 50?
Yeah, so if it's really right in the middle, it'd be 50-50. We'll have to give these diagrams a little break. They're pretty close. And then number 3. So what are we going to do for number 3 here? There's this mark right here, which I think is trying to line up on Q3. So if my wife comes in the room, I'm right there. What percentage of the game is already over and what percentage is still to come?
$75 and $25.
Yeah, exactly. You guys got it. So 75% of the game is over, 25 still to go. And finally, the last one, if the mark is all the way here, like boom, the game is 100% over, huh? That's the end of the game. All right, so we're just making sure you understand that the box plot breaks the data into 4 equal sections. It does it with 5 numbers because one of them's the lowest and one of them's the highest. So it uses 5 numbers to break the data into 4 equal sections, equal number of data values in each section. All right, down now. So for number 8, what they want us to do is draw the box plot for the data we just did. So so let's do that. What do you mean? What data we just did? So for these numbers right here, we want to put those on a box plot. So let's draw it. How far do we need to go from a low of 3 up to 18? So let's make a number line. I'll try to do this fairly neatly. I'll use some of my tools here. So, okay. So we're going to go from 3. So I'm going to start over here maybe and just say this is 0. And I'm just going to try to go, I don't know, maybe I'll make this like 20 and I'll put like 10 in the middle. Just doing the best I can to make a number line that looks somewhat decent. Put 5 right here and 15 right there. So you guys want to make a number line with me? And this is the number of units, right? The number of units that you all are taking this semester. I think she got that data from you guys. So then I'll put the other numbers in. Let me see, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoop, what just happened? No, I mean 6, 7, 8, 9. 11, 12, 13, 14. 16, 17, 18, 19. Oops, I didn't do that very evenly. Let me try that again. 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so I just have a big number line from 0 to 20. Why did I go 0 to 20? Because I'm looking at my data here and I see that we need to go from 3 to 18. So 0 to 20 covers us. So now I'm going to make the box. I'm going to make the box plot on that number line. How do you do it? Well, notice, guys, notice and gals, notice that the box goes from Q1 to Q3, doesn't it? And then these, what are called whiskers, go out to the minimum and up here to the maximum. Do you see that? Do you see how the box goes from Q1 to Q3? So I'm going to grab Q1 and Q3. Here's Q1, here's Q3. So the box needs to go between those guys from 7.5 to 12.5. Q1 to Q3. This is Q3 here. So Q1 to Q3. So 7.5. So let me go to 7.5. Where's that? It's about right there. That's not so straight. Let me try again. About right there. Okay, and we need to go up to, what was the other one? 12.5, right? From 7.5 to 12.5. The box goes from Q1 to Q3. Q1 to Q3. 7.5 to 12.5. So I'm going to come over here and go, all right, 12.5. About right there. And then I'll make the box. There's the box. And then we're going to have whiskers that go up and down. Where do the whiskers go? The whiskers go down to 3 and up to 18. See how they go down to the minimum? Whoops, let me do it there. Down to the minimum, up to the maximum. Right here and right here, these whiskers. All right, so down to 3, up to 18. So let's do that. So all the way down here to number 3 and up to 18. Good so far. 3 and 18. And last thing is we have to put a line in the center. See how there's a line right here in the center, that line? And that goes right at the median. So the median is 10.5. So I got to put a line at 10.5. About right there. There we go. We made the box plot for the number of units. How are we doing? Questions I can answer on that? Guys, am I going too fast, too slow? Tell me what you need. This is always tricky on Zoom. I can't see your faces. At least I'm not looking right now at the video. So I don't know if I should speed up or slow down. How are we doing?
Yeah, I got it.
You're doing good.
Okay, good. Questions I can answer on any of this? Do you see how I knew? Do you see how the Q1, so the left edge of the box, the left edge is Q1. And the right edge, see it's Q3. So I grabbed our Q1, our Q3 to make that happen. Which are right. There we go. I should probably leave that on the screen. There's our Q1, our Q3. And then the whiskers go to the max and the min. And so what does that tell us? What does that mean? What does that picture mean? What it means, remember a box plot, let me go back up where you can see it. It's the 25% thing, right? That means 25% of the class, 1/4 of you guys, are taking somewhere between 3 and 7.5 units. And the next 25% of you are taking somewhere between 7.5 and 10.5 units. And that's the first half, right? And then the third quarter of you that are taking more units, taking between 10.5 and 12.5. And then the top 25% of you that are taking the most units are taking between 12.5 and 18 units. That's the top quarter of unit takers among you guys. That's what the box plot does. It shows how the data breaks up into 4 even. Now I call them even sections. You might think, what do you mean? What do you mean even sections? Why are these even? Well, these are even in the sense that there's the same number of people in each section. If you just joined the class, this is Miss Tiffany Jones, Math 45, and I'm Miss Jones. My voice has just changed a lot. I'm kidding. I'm joking around. This is Mr. Heron. I'm the sub for Miss Jones's class. You're in the right place. This is Math 45. Miss Jones, I'm the sub for today and Wednesday. Okay, is this making sense then? So this box plot breaks the data into 4 equal sections. 4 equal sections, meaning there's the same number of you guys in every section. The same number of people are taking between 3 and 7.5 units as are taking between 7.5 and 10.5. That's what it means. They're different widths, but it's capturing the same number of people. 25% of the class in each section. All right, I'm going to move on. Sounds like you guys are good. I think I'm beating the drum, the dead horse. The horse is dead. Let's move on. Range. How do we find the range? Well, it's telling us right there, the maximum minus the minimum. What's the maximum data value?
18.
Yeah, right up here, huh? The max is 18 and the minimum?
3.
3, right? Max and min, yeah. So we just say, oh, okay, max minus min. So max 18 minus the min 3, subtract that 15. So that's called the range. That means how far from the lowest to the highest. What's the range of our data values? There's a range of 15 from the person that's taking the fewest units to the person taking the most units. From 3 to 18, that's a range of 15. So these kind of questions will be on the test, so make sure you're making sense. Feel free to ask me. And then the next one they're asking us for the interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1. So Q3 minus Q1. Do you remember what Q3 is?
12.5.
Good job. Yeah, it's this line right here, isn't it? This is Q3 because that's the end of the third quarter. Yeah, nice job. 12.5. It's also up here if you roll up the screen. If I roll up the screen, right there, there's Q3. It's 12.5 and Q1 is 7.5, right? That we found earlier. Making good sense. And so minus, and that's the number right here. This is Q1, 7.5. So if we subtract those, we get 5. So that's called the interquartile range. Sometimes it's abbreviated IQR. Interquartile range, meaning it's the width of the box. It's how wide this box is, or it's the middle 50% of the data, the middle chunk of data, the width of the middle chunk of the data is 5. All right, how are we doing? We're about to change gears. We got 10 minutes left. Why don't we see how far we can get on this new stuff? So we're done. We're done with all that data set. We're going to start with something totally new. Is everybody good to that point? All right, feel free to speak up if you have questions on anything. This is being recorded. It'll be out there for you to look back over. If you need to check up on things, if I went too fast. Let's go to number 11 here. We got about 10 minutes. Let's see what we can get done. So the semester grade in a class in statistics is determined by the scores on 5 100-point exams. Steady Sue, I wonder if that's her real name. I'm just joking. Scored 82, 82, 81, 82, 83 on the 5 exams. Erratic Ernie scored really low, 59, 73 kind of average, then 82, 97, 98. Boy, he picked it up on the 5 exams. So calculate the mean and the median for each student's exam grades. Are these measures helpful in assigning a course grade? All right, so we want to find the median and the mean. Mean and the median. How are we doing? Are we doing good? Oh, and then we just have those high 10. I just want to make sure where we're at in the flow here. All right, so we're doing well. We're doing great. We can totally slow down. We're doing great. So I'm going to go slow. So we're doing great. We can spend some good quality time next time on those examples. Good. All right. So yeah. So do you guys remember how to calculate a mean?
That is my next question. I was really fuzzy about that.
Yeah.
Same year.
Nice? Yes?
Me?
Niece?
Yes.
All right. All right. That was my first guess. All right, Niece. Yeah. No, great question. The mean is a fancy. Does anybody know before I say it? What is the mean?
50%.
It's just a fancy word. That's the median. We'll get to the 50% is the median, and we're going to do that one also. But first off, the mean is just the average. That's just a fancy word for the average. So do you guys know how to find the average? So Ernie's mean doesn't mean, it just means Ernie's average. So what?
So we're just,
Here's Ernie's scores, right? Erratic Ernie, he's low and high. How do we find Ernie's average score?
we're just going to add those up and divide by 5.
Beautiful. Exactly. Do you guys remember that that's how you find the average of a group of numbers? You just you add them up, and you divide by n, which is the number of values, huh? So that's going to be what?
82.
So it is, you already got it. You guys are fast on the calculator there, huh? 59, 73, 82, 97, 99. Make sure you hit equals. By the way, excuse me, let me give you a tip. It's an easy mistake to make. Don't forget to hit equals before you then divide by 5 and hit equals again. Make sure to hit this equals before you hit the divide by 5. If you don't put the equals in there, like for example, this is the mistake I've seen students make over the years. I'm just telling you what I've seen over the years. If you just go divide by 5 right there and you don't hit equals, most calculators will only divide the last number, just the 99, which is not what we want, right? We want the whole list to be divided. So you have to hit equals first and then divide by 5 and then equals. Does that make sense? Make sure you hit equals. So that way it'll add them all up first and then hit divide. So I'm doing it right now on my calculator. Oh yeah, 82, good job. It just comes out 82. So now let's do Sue's. Let's do the same thing for Sue. Good, looks like we're all getting that. So how about for Sue? For Sue, the mean, which is the average. Let's just add up Sue's numbers. Here we go. Steady Sue here.
82.
Is it 82 again? 82 plus 82 plus 81 plus 82 plus 83. Make sure you hit equals first and then divide by 5 equals, is it 82 again? Oh yeah, it is. So the average for Sue is also 82. Okay. I'm kind of running out of room there. That's all right. We're running out of time, so I'll fix it next time. But anyway, so now let's find the median for both of those. The median. Are you ready? We're going to find Ernie's median and then Sue's median. I'm going to come down on number 12 because I don't have any more room there for number 11. I'll fix this next time. I'll move it to another page and make more room next time. But let's go down to Ernie's median. This will probably be the last one we'll have time for today, which is great. We're like way ahead of schedule, so we're totally good. Hopefully I haven't been going too fast. I'll be able to slow down even more on Wednesday and go really slowly over those 2 handout examples. We'll have lots of time. And also if you have questions too. Ernie's median. So how do we do a median?
So we're going to use that formula where we do 50 divided by 100 and then multiply by 5.
Yeah, we totally could do that. I like it. Let's do it. Yeah, that's the
But we can also list and see if we have a even number or odd number.
exactly. You guys know this stuff. That's right. I'm impressed. Yeah, both ways will work. Yeah, maybe I'll show both ways. Yeah, but either way is good. If you still remember like the way where you have even amount or odd amount, that's great. That'll work. Or you could use the formula we've been practicing today. Yeah, that's right. In fact, maybe, you know what? I like we did a bunch of the percentile. Let's do it let's do it the order way. Put them in order. You have to put them in order low to high. So let's do that. Let's grab erratic Ernie's numbers. And that's the trick. You got to remember to put them in order. A lot of times my students in the past, they take a test and they would forget to reorder. So remember that first step. You've got to put them in order low to high. So what's Ernie's lowest score?
59.
They're already in order, aren't they?
Yeah, and the median is 82.
Yeah, good job. You already got it. So there they are. Now, when we get to next time, we'll do Sue, and we'll have to put hers are not in order, notice. So we'll have to reorder. We'll have to be careful about that. Anyway, let's finish this one up. Yeah, you guys have got it. You put them in order low to high. And remember, if you have an even amount, we don't. But if you have an even amount, then you grab the 2 in the middle, you add them, hit equals, and divide by 2. You take the average, right? If you have an even amount. We don't have an even amount. If you have an odd amount, you just grab the 1 number in the middle. If you have an odd amount, you just grab the 1 number in the middle. So what's the 1 number? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So do we have an even amount or odd amount?
They're odd.
Yeah. So odd. So we just grab the 1 number in the middle. Who's in the middle?
82.
There it is. So the median for Ernie is the same as his average, coincidentally. That doesn't always happen. Ernie's median is 82. That's his middle number. So just put them in order. Now, if instead you did the 50 percentile formula, that would work too. You know, the P over 100 times N and all that, that would also work. Either way is good. Are we good there? It looks like we are at time right now. So let me stop our recording right here.